I want to walk you through some of the basics of threading, winding a bobbin on the Husqvarna Viking Epic 980Q. But do keep in mind, we have over 50 videos already filmed on the Husqvarna Viking Designer Epic 1, which is nearly identical to this machine on the sewing side. That machine has embroidery, this machine does not. So if you're looking to find additional things about this machine, decorative stitches, how to use all those wonderful accessory feet, please make sure you check out the links below this YouTube video where we take you through every step of this machine. But I did want to go ahead and do the threading, the bobbin, and of course the wonderful needle threader on the actual model. And of course, if you love pink, that's probably another reason that you bought this machine. A lot of people that own the Viking Epics have found that this machine has also been a nice second machine to use as a sewing machine when your embroidery machine is running. You've got all those features that you're used to on your other machine, but now just on a sewing machine. I know a lot of our customers at our store actually own both, an embroidery sewing machine and then a sewing only machine. So we're going to just take a walk through some of all the basic things, including the thread stand that's built into this machine. I love decorative stitches, so definitely having a thread stand helps for a lot of those troublesome threads, metallic threads, clear threads, but even just good quality standard threads do really well on a thread stand. If you didn't have this, we would talk about a thread stand that you'd sit on the table, but now we don't have to because it's built in. And you saw me put one of these spool caps down, the big ones, and that allows the thread to just sit and have a base to land. Now, this particular spool, as you can see, is almost empty, so I am going to put a thread cap over the top of that just so it doesn't bounce up as it's being used. But once I get all the way to the top of the thread stand, you'll see that the thread will very easily come off the spool with the help of the thread cap holding it down. So we're going to wind a bobbin first. We're going to go over the top of the thread here, and then we're going to come down over to the right side. So slide it into the silver guide here, and then we're going to come over to the side of the machine. Now, using quality thread will make all the difference in the world. So definitely make sure that you're not using cheap thread or thread that maybe grandma gave you, 30, 40 years ago when she bought it. Definitely take a look. We are coming underneath the first little C guide, and then I'm coming around this little pre-tensioner, and I'm making sure my thread slips underneath that. That part there is what makes your bobbin wind very smoothly. It doesn't get fluffy. So without that, you might get kind of a not so smooth bobbin, maybe kind of a squishier bobbin. That's not good. But it will also help stay in there because your next guide is right here. You're going to bring it over the corner, and then we're headed straight down to the bobbin winder. I am a fan of taking the thread and feeding it from the inside up through the one hole on the inner part of the bobbin. You should also be seeing the Husqvarna logo on the top of the bobbin, and that will also indicate that it will always need to be facing out as we place it onto the bobbin spindle, and also when we take it off and put it down into the bobbin case. As long as you see that little H symbol, you know things are going well. So I'm going to just go ahead and engage the bobbin winder. And on screen, you will see a speed option, so you could slow it down if you want. But I'm going to hold my hands straight out when it starts to wind and touch the screen to start. Continue to hold on to this thread until it breaks off, or you can push pause and actually take your scissors and make sure you don't leave any tail sticking out unnecessarily from the top of that bobbin. So if you really want to get it completely clipped, that would be the ideal thing to do. Here's where you can adjust the speed of how much thread is going onto that bobbin, how quickly. There's times where some specialty threads might require a half speed or a reduced speed. When it's full, it will spring off and stop spinning. And if you find that this is not filled to your liking, this little part here can actually be adjusted for more or less fill. And I'm noticing on this particular one, here, let me slide it off. You can pull it out and there's a little cutter right here. This one is actually filled pretty out to the edge. I might even have to actually take a little bit off just so it can spin freely in my bobbin area. So that would definitely be something that I feel like that got kind of twisted away and it filled more than it should. So I would definitely want to adjust that back. Once it's adjusted, then it will stay in place. But I am going to go ahead and take a couple spins off so I can find that the thread does not touch the edge of the bobbin. That should be enough. And let's go ahead and put the bobbin in next. Take your finger and move this gray little area from the left to the right. And that will bring the little door off. And then again, we're looking for the H that's on the top of the bobbin, and then drop the bobbin in place. Now see how that's not spinning totally down in there? I'm going to pull a little bit more thread off. Definitely now that I have it set, it won't be an issue going forward. Now, as I bring this thread around, we are looking for this little kind of 6 o'clock notch. The thread will practically drop into that area, and that is the tension of the bobbin case. If you want, you can put your finger here and then draw the thread with a little click up into the left side here. So it actually goes in about 6 and comes out about 7:30. So that's all the tension that is needed for the bobbin. And at the very end, bring your thread over the top of this little gray notch and then down, following the arrow shown here. That is actually a cutter. Now I'm a fan of putting the door on next and then pulling the thread last. And it kind of cuts the thread to the perfect length. I don't have to bring that bobbin thread up, and the door is kind of holding it so it doesn't flip out of position. Not that it usually does, it's just I kind of like it in place when I go to cut the thread. Of course, after winding a bobbin, we can pull the thread out from the pre-tensioner, and we're going to bring the thread over towards the sewing side. Take your thread in your hand, and we're going to take and go underneath and towards the back of the machine with your left hand. Do make sure that your presser foot is up, and if it's not, go ahead and touch the up button here to open up all the thread guides and the tension for the thread to go in. So I like to hold the thread at the top and then bring my hands straight down. And as I come up, watch this. A little trick is to give this thread a little kind of flossing action. That really helps seat that thread down into all the places it needs to be. So when the foot is lowered, everything engages on that thread. If you ever get hairy loops on the back of your fabric, it's because the thread isn't where it should be, and all you actually need to do is re-thread the top of the machine. It looks like it's a bobbin issue, and that's so common for people to say, but it's actually a top thread. So at this point, I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to go all the way in on the right side and then down on the left side, and it will catch in the take-up lever. There is one more guide at the top of the needle, which you can take your right hand and bring it around that guide. And now I can't wait to show you the needle threader. The needle threader is one of the slickest needle threaders I have used. All you need to do is take your thread, bring it up underneath this first little kind of silver arm in the mouth. So I usually kind of push back so it clicks in, and then you're going to bring the thread towards you over the side of the machine. There's a little arrow to help remind you, and then just go ahead and pull. It has cut the thread to the perfect length, and then touch the auto needle threading button. And that's it. I usually don't even get a hold of that thread. You can actually just start sewing. If you do want to get a hold of it, you can pull it out and slide it underneath your presser foot. So I'm going to take a piece of fabric that I have folded in half, and I'm going to go ahead and sew and just make sure everything is threaded correctly. Everything looks good. I can use the thread cutter here. It'll cut the thread and lift the foot up, and then I can just pull that straight on out. So I hope you'll check out all the videos that we have done on the Husqvarna Viking Epic 1, and those links are found in the description below.